Yes, good evening. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. Look at the lineup I've got for you. Some are young, some are old, some are deluded, some are not deluded. But one thing is for sure is Tottenham Hotspur are an utter shit show if it's not against crap teams in Europe. Guys, welcome to Danny, welcome to Johnny, welcome to Luke, welcome to the Danalist, and welcome to Archie Gray's stepdad. BILBAO is in the house. Before we get started, guys, I just feel like I need to rattle off some stats, so please bear with me for 2 minutes. I'm going to rattle off some stats before I get people in the chat telling me, oh, but today doesn't matter because we're in a Europa League final and these games are irrelevant. Let's see how irrelevant today was, shall we? Let's have a look. We have got a 55.5% loss rate this season. That is the worst we have ever had in a Premier League campaign. This is officially now, statistically now, no matter what happens in the last 2 days, 2 games, this is our worst ever Premier League season. Let that sink in, soak it up, our worst ever, a 55% loss rate. That's with a 30.5% win rate. We have won 11 games out of 36. It's utterly disgusting. We have got 4 league wins in our last 21 league games. I feel like I'm a Leicester City or Ipswich fan right now. This is utterly disgraceful. 1 win in 10. Southampton, by the way. 1 win in 10. Southampton. By the way, 2 of those, the next one, that will back me on. 5 wins from 25 league games. 2 of those 5 games are Southampton. 1 of them is Ipswich. 5 wins in our last 25 games. 2 are against the team in the 20th. 1 is against the team in 19th. And 1 is against Man United, who are the team in 16th. The only win we've got that is of any note is Brentford when we won 2-0. We have got, if that's not bad enough, guys, 28 points from our last 90 available. 28 from 90. Let that sink in. We are bottom of the form table. I'm going to show you some form tables in a second. We've got 9 home defeats this season. 9. And guys, you're surely thinking the same thing as me. How are any people out there deluded enough to be Ange? I know I'm thinking it. 6 home wins. 6 home wins this season. 20 league defeats. This is the big one, gentlemen. 20 league defeats. And if that's not bad enough, I'm going to show you some things really, really quickly. Have a look at this. Let me remove my banner. Tottenham, you can see there, this is the worst points per game ratio in our history. 1.06. 1.06. It is utterly disgusting. If that doesn't float your boat, if you'd like something else that's not quite as bad as that, how about this? In the last 5 games, Tottenham Hotspur, we are at the bottom of the form table. If that one doesn't float your boat, let's have a look at this to prove it's not the injuries. When he gets his injuries back, shut up. You're all mugs. You're all wrong. 30 games. This is the form table over 30 Premier League games. We are 17th. 28 points from 30 games. We are an utter shambolic shit show. And this is the worst manager I've ever seen. I'm going to shut up now. Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to take away?
I was just going to say, 1 second. I did see when the second goal went in, I saw Ozzy Ardiles dancing along the stand there as he was celebrating the fact he's no longer the worst manager ever to manage the club. He's made his day. He's waited the whole season for it to happen. And I'm really happy for Ozzy because he never deserved. I loved Ozzy, right? And he never deserved to be the worst manager in our history. And it's only fitting that Angepostecoglou can take away that trophy should he win no other trophy this season. Sorry, Ian, carry on, mate.
No, funny enough, I was sent a stat this afternoon about Man United, whose record over the last 7 games, two draws, 5 defeats, is worse than our 1 win, 1 draw, and 5 defeats. They've got 2 points out of 21. We got 4 points out of 21. It's going to be a marvellous final, isn't it?
I just worry about us. Look, all I know is that without Madison and without BILBAO, we have no creativity. You saw today, no creativity. We need to wrap Coglou up in cotton wool. And 2 challenges today. One in the box when he went to shoot and the shot got blocked. He went down. He felt his knee and his ankle. He didn't go down, but he saw him feeling it. And then about 10 minutes later, not even that, I think it was about 5 minutes later, there's another challenge right in front of me, and he's gone down and he ain't getting up. You just knew. But the medical team, like, oh, should we send him back on? What should we do? No. What are you taking a risk for? If he's gone, why is he playing number one? But oh my God, the whole thing is an absolute farce, man. The whole thing is a farce.
Just for Alex, you saw a 1.07. I'll just let you know how maths works. 1.06 is worse than 1.07, my friend.
And
we got relegated.
That was the year we got relegated, by the way.
Correct.
That's based on 3 points per game. Because we actually I think we ended up with something like 33 points from the 42 games, but it was 2 points a game at that stage.
Yeah.
Had it been 3 points, we'd have been on 45, which would have been a 1.07. And Ange has managed to make us worse than that.
Are we ever going to win a game this season in the league? The answer's got to be no.
I'm so scared that Aston Villa might put 10 past us. I'm at that stage. I'm genuinely embarrassed. And guys, just quickly, I just want to address before I hand over to you lot for the foreseeable. I just want to say that this manager turned around and said, again, another one of his rude interviews. Suddenly, we've not got the Ange who's given the really passionate speech that makes me want to love him again. Ugh, these fans make me feel sick, right? He turned around. They said, "Oh, the fans." You know, this lady said to him, the reporter. She said, "You know, what do you say? You know, the fans, they're not happy that 20 defeats." And he turned around and went, "Oh, there's only 20 defeats because we got to the final." So Savva went and done a little bit of digging, didn't he, for some stats to show you that teams that get to the finals don't ever lose 20 games. Chelsea this year are in a Conference League final. Chelsea have lost 6 games in the Premier League, right? Real Betis, they're also in the Conference League final. They've lost 9 games this season, right? Crystal Palace, they're in an FA Cup final. They've lost 11. Last year, Bayer Leverkusen got to a Europa League final, didn't lose a single bloody game in their league. Last year, Atalanta got to the Europa League final, only lost 11 games. So this nonsense that we've lost 20 games because we're in a final. Guys, I'm going to shut up. I'm so angry that this manager is loved by anybody. I don't get it. I hate him. He is awful.
The two things, I'll start, Sav. The 2 things I didn't understand from today's game is, first of all, you know, you look at Palace, they're 6 days off a cup final. They play their first team. We should have been playing our first team. And secondly, Glasner plays 3 at the back. Amorim plays 3 at the back. Perfect opportunity to test our stall out, try different tactics, and see how we are going to play against 3 at the back. No, he goes and plays the same old way that just loses us games, leaves everybody exposed. And as I said before, I was with a Palace fan today who sat down. No, Mark Gray didn't play well. He had a poor game today. And he looked down and he said, "Look, Glasner's directing, he's shouting, he's screaming, he's giving instructions, and your manager's just sitting there with his hands in his pockets doing nothing." This was coming from a Palace fan, just looking down on the touchline. Staggering. The whole thing is, listen, the players went out there, they don't want to get hurt. They played like they don't want to get hurt. They played, there was no hearts, there was nothing. I thought virtually all of them were 2 bob today. But you know, some of them should have been saying, "You know what? Maybe I've got half a chance of playing in that final team. Let me go out and make a statement. You know, make some noise for myself." No,
why?
Rubbish.
Why? Why would they? Ian, why would they? Why? Give me a reason.
Well, Kulu's out now, so there's going to
no, that's not what I'm saying.
Another space.
You said go out there and make a name for yourself to get in the team. Why would they? They don't. They all know. We all know that if more come on and Yeah, but it's like what I said with Savva earlier. There's being professional, there's the way it should be, and then there's the way in life where it actually is, if you're going to be realistic about it, yeah? Mikey Moore could have come on for the next 3 games and scored 10 goals. I bet you he still don't start. 100%. I bet you Spence could have had the best next best 2 games on the entire planet. He still ain't starting over a Dogie. Danzo ain't going to start unless there's a major injury there. So half these players now, yes, they should be doing it a professional way. Yes, life should be done a lot of ways, Ian. But think logically how people actually think, yeah? Because whether we like it or not, the players ain't robots. They're just standing there thinking, the season's done and dusted. We're going to either finish 15th or 17th. So what do I really care? Shouldn't be the attitude, but we all know what people's attitudes in life can be like. And then they just think, well, even if I do have a brilliant game today, I still ain't making that final come love nor money, even though I've been significantly better than that player there every time I've played, and I still ain't getting in the bloody team. So where's the fight going to come from? Where's the right mentality going to come from? I mean, seriously, we all know what 11 he'll pick, hands down. So these players coming on today, yeah, they should fight for their pride. Yeah, they should fight for this. Yeah, they should do it. It's all should. We know we should do certain things in life a certain way, but it don't work like that. Be realistic about life now. If you was a player, you're going on there, it'd be easy for you to sit here now and say, I'll give it 110% no matter what. But if you know what your manager's like all season, same tactics, you know you're going to get screwed by the same tactics. No matter how good you're going to play, you're still going to lose. No matter good you play, you still ain't going to make that final come love nor money unless there is a big injury that's happened there. How are you going to be able to give it 100% for that game?
Dan, you can't, mate. And let me tell you something, right? Jed Spence's body language today was diabolical, right? Diabolical. Mm-hmm. And why is that? Because this is a player, right, who was treated like dog shit by Ange, okay? Dumped out the Europa League. Then he rescues his arse at Coventry game, and then he's dumped again. Then he doesn't play for weeks on end. And then when he's had to play him. He's been outstanding. And then he has the cheek to say, oh, I made him. I did this on purpose. And then as soon as the players come back, he's dumped again. And his body language has been shit. Why? Because the player knows full well that he's not going to get a game. And Archie Gray being thrown under the bus like Jed Spence was against Liverpool. That team he set up, he didn't give a shit about those players and how those players would react. Yes, they should be professional, but you should be professional as a manager to not bullshit the players. They're not stupid. They understand what's going on. 100%, they know what's going on. And basically, this manager has fucked it up himself because those players on the pitch today, as you quite rightly said, know that they ain't getting minutes unless there's a major issue. And we all know the other question there is Sonny, despite coming on today for a 30-minute cameo, who was miles off it. I mean, there was one incident there where he broke free. I think he wanted half an hour to shoot. Hit it first time. He's miles off of it. He was miles off of it.
Was that the one where he basically stood there and then waited for 3 players to basically circle him before he even passed, let alone the shot? Yeah.
Tell put him in, didn't he?
Yeah, but Ferg, Spence hasn't played well since basically Ange told him that he ain't playing anymore, right? So when you say
I was going to say that,
right? That's what it's about, Ferg. And I know that, right? So, but it doesn't excuse it. I'm not saying it excuses it, but when you ask, this is when a top manager knows how to balance players, knows how to treat them well, knows how to still motivate those ones who maybe not getting the minutes every single week. That's the difference, that when they come in, they're all ready to perform. And you're quite right. You know, is there places up for grabs? The manager hasn't even said there's places up for grabs in this final. I want you to go out there today and prove to me that you can do it, because none of them, you know, as Ian said before, you know, you can highlight Archie Gray, but it wasn't Archie Gray. It was Archie Gray. It was Jed Spence. It was Papa Sarr. It was all of them. Only Kinski for me came out with, you know, any credit. He made some good saves. All I watched on that pitch, I sat there for 90 minutes more or less and watched Eze And I just watched him and marveled at what a true player is and the class, what a class top player is.
So,
and that is in a team missing
So
Adam Walton today.
when you know you're not going to get in the team no matter what when it comes to the important game, when you know your tactics are completely and utterly foobarred without no two ways about it, and they're probably going to lose you the game anyway, even if you do bloody try. When you know your manager just hasn't got a bloody clue what he's doing, when your manager's giving you no motivation on the side or getting stuck into it and everything, and when I believe more than half the dressing room just looks at him now and just thinks, I can't wait till you go. I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. How can anyone seriously, thinking just like a normal person, be able to give 110% for that? How? Yes, you can tell me the professional side, it's your job all you want. But I'm sorry, the human brain just don't work like that.
Can I ask you all something? I'll ask you all. Let me start with you, Luke. I'll get Luke and Dan involved. Guys, all I've heard is this game don't matter. Why would you play the first team? And people, for me, guys, they're making out as though we've got a final in 3 days. We're not playing the final for 11 days. Crystal Palace today, by the way, who also have nothing to play for in the league. They're not going up. They're not going to get Europe through the league. They're not getting relegated. They've got an FA Cup final in 6 days. Glasner puts out their full strength team. The only one missing today, from what I could see, was Wharton because he was injured. Right? He puts out a full strength team 6 days before a cup final. Yet we're sitting here as Tottenham bloody Hotspur. And we're all our fan base is going, oh, I'd rest everyone. I'd wrap them up. What are we talking about? Shouldn't that be our best team out there tonight and then maybe rest a few players against Villa? Why are they able to do it as Crystal Palace and we can't do it as Tottenham Hotspur?
Go on, Dan.
They believe they can win. Simple as that. They can believe they can win. Our team, I don't think they actually believe they can win because they know how bad these tactics are. They know how everybody can literally read the book of every pinpoint we're going to do. They've just got absolutely no faith, no motivation, no connection with the manager, no connection with the manager's tactics, whether it's their adaptability or he just can't get it right, whatever way you want to put it. How are they going to do it?
Luke, Dan List, I'm trying to. What do you reckon?
Go on, you go first, Luke.
I think obviously we only played on Thursday, and it was on a plastic pitch. So I think it's easy to say that we could have just gone. Crystal Palace played on Monday, so they've had 6-7 days to kind of rest up. If he would have played them today, the problem is that he's got no credibility with anyone. So if we'd have been sitting fifth, then no one would have really cared about today, and it would have been. But the fact that he's got no credibility, no matter what he does, unless he wins the game, he's going to be, because there are loads of people that have said that they should have been a write-off. We should have been playing under 21s. We shouldn't have been bothering at all. Just wrap them up, and then if he does that and we win, then no one says anything. But obviously, he's got no credit in the bank. I just think that playing 4 days before on a plastic pitch, or 3 days before on a plastic pitch, it does bring injuries. So, but I was surprised it was that many. To be fair, I thought that there would be.
Luke, can I ask though? Didn't Arsenal play 4 days ago in Paris Saint-Germain in a second semi-final, second leg? They're going away and playing Liverpool today, putting out a full strength team. This isn't the first time he's done it. He keeps doing this, and I talked with Danny about this earlier. We keep talking about, oh my God, if we get Champions League and we want Champions League, but then our fans think that we should be resting people in between games. If we get to the Champions League next year, you can't be resting players every game before a Champions League game. There's 8 of them. You can't just write off 8 Premier League games because you've got 8 Champions League games. So I just don't understand this. Most of these players have missed some of the season through injury. Surely they should be playing and they've got energy and they should have time in their leg. I just feel like we're making excuses at every turn.
They've hardly played. So some of these players, Cuti Romero's hardly played any games this season. There's players who've been out for ages. It's nonsense. And this thing, like, does he remember that we got to a Champions League final? When did we finish? 4th. Did we finish 4th?
Yeah, 4th.
Yeah, we got to a Champions League final and we finished 4th. Where's all this nonsense? He's just talking shit. He's saying it again today. It's very, very difficult. Look, in isolation, losing games, it happens. It happens. It is part and parcel of being a football fan to lose games. But to lose this many games, to attack the fans, right? To say none of this bothers me, and then attack fans, attack the press. You know, this jolly Australian chubby guy comes in, right, and you know he's everyone's friend. Now he's like he's on antidepressants and he's angry. He's got an argument for everything. I don't like how he handles his press. Everything is wrong. He doesn't send any positive messages. His body language is wrong. His body language, you know, during the game is wrong. There's no interaction. The body language post-game is wrong. He's looking at the floor. He tells the fans, he's speaking to us like we've never watched football before. I'm listening to, you know, in the last 2 or 3 press conferences post-game, and I'm thinking, is he watching the same game as me? Or is he looking at his shoes and he's missed it? Because I just don't understand it. And I've got people who don't understand football. They're not like us, you know, eat, breathe, sleep football. They're ringing me up saying, is that Angepostecoglou losing the plot? I watched that game on TV and it was nothing like what I saw. And when people like that are calling me and saying, what do you think? I know that I really haven't lost the plot. I don't know what you think. What do you think, Dan? What are you thinking?
Hello? Anyone?
You hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Silence is a killer. Someone
Dan.
talk.
Go on, Dan. Go
Hello?
for it.
Yeah, what Dan list?
Guys,
The analyst, the question was too much for him.
All right, I'll go then. If no one's going to bloody talk, I'll go. Guys, look, what I don't understand about this is they're always, I'm just looking at the chat as the comments come in. The excuses are just one after the other, and they have been for 2 years. No other team seems to need these excuses other than Tottenham Hotspur. Everyone cries and craves for Europe. Then when we're in Europe, says, oh, we can't handle 2 games a week. And you're like, well, that's what happens when you qualify for Europe. Second of all, guys, the final is 11 games away. It's 11 days away. Yeah? I don't understand it. Surely, either put out a complete young team or don't. But today, again, he does a little bit half-hearted. Kulu starts, Bentancur starts, Porro starts. Then he's bringing on, Basuma comes on, Son comes on. So it's like, well, hang on, are we resting these players or are we not? What are we doing? Look, I want to move to, guys, what is it? We've got to have this conversation. What is it with the tactics? First of all, what is it with the likes? There's 700 people inside and 112 likes. This is Dominic Solanke goal ratios. This is like 1 in 7. Can we please get this to Harry Kane goal ratios? That would be amazing. Thank you. Really, really appreciated. What is it, guys, with this change of tactics in the Europa League where we suddenly have a flat back 4, no one inverts, 2 midfielders as a double pivot sitting in front of the back 4? Then we get back to the Premier League and we are gung-ho again. What is this guy literally taking the piss out of us? Like, is he literally saying, I know my tactics don't work, so I'm only going to use proper tactics in Europe? In the league, you can sod off. I'm just doing my own thing.
I think it's all geared for Europe now, isn't it? We've seen that, you know, with the last few performances. He doesn't care about the league. You win, lose or draw, as far as he's concerned, it doesn't make too much difference at this stage. With just a couple of games left, and this is what he's doing. The whole thing's gone mad. It's like we're in a parallel universe. And as I said the other week, we will look back in the summer, regardless of what happens in Bilbao, and just look at the last 2 years, because he'll be gone. I have no doubt he'll be gone. Win or lose in Bilbao, he'll be gone. There's so much. There is so much that has been bad about Postecoglou's managerial reign, just everything. And I've got to say, I think he's been very neglectful leaving Ange in, Levy, but he's not stupid, and he must look at his team losing game after game after game, and it must actually twig in his head, you know what? We keep losing. There's something not quite right here. Okay, we've had a few decent results in Europe, but we've had 36 games. It's been appalling.
And you know what, Daniel?
He'll go. He will go. And we'll look back, Johnny. We'll look back in the summer and we'll think, do you know what? That was a 2-year period consigned to history. And hopefully, he's got the brains in his head, this chairman, to bring in, to get Paratici signed up, to bring in a new director of football, hopefully, that Paratici will
be. He was there again today, Ian.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, he was.
And a top manager who is going to improve these players, get a lot of these players back to playing the way they were playing before Ange came in, and also bring in a few, improve the kids, bring in some much needed experience that we need, a couple of leaders out of the 3 or 4 established players that we are absolutely desperate for to improve the first team.
And can I just tell you, Daniel Levy today is crying in his milk or whatever he drinks, his Ovaltine at half time. He just lost £3 million today. That's how much dropping from 16th to 17th it cost us. Another £3 million. We've lost £30 million in prize
36.
money. 36.
Last year.
36.
What, 3.1, 37.2.
Whatever we make winning the Europa League ain't going to make up for what we've lost in credit payments, for performance bonuses. And that's why it's baffling, as you said, Ian, how he's remained in a job. Because I've said it going back 4 games ago that these players will self-motivate for Europe. They don't need Angepostecoglou to motivate them to play Eintracht Frankfurt or to play Bodo Glimt or to play Man United. There are players in there who have played at the highest level. We're talking about Bentancur. We're talking about Cuti Romero. There are players there that have experienced it at the top, and they will self-motivate. I had no question. I was one of the few, despite how bad we were, that believed we were going to go to Frankfurt and we were going to win the game and we were going to get through. You saw a defiant Spurs who fought every inch, tooth and nail, to get through that game. We saw a professional performance against Bodo Glimt, okay? And in that final, as long as he doesn't do a Lucas Moura, Harry Kane scenario and play Sonny, I think, we will see a performance of players who will be there despite Ange. And I've got to tell you one thing, and I've said this before many times. If he's such a great orator, Ange Postecoglou, if he's your Martin Luther Kings, your Robert F. Kennedys, why is it we come out of that tunnel looking like we've just had a sedative? Why is it? I look at Arsenal, right, under Arteta. No matter what the game is, they come fired out like they've just told them, if you don't win this today, your whole family's getting done, right? There's a massive motivation there, no matter what the game. And our guys that come out, it doesn't matter. We're flat as a pancake.
The mental side of it, Johnny, is broken. It's what I keep saying. The mentality is totally broken. You can be the best player on the planet, but if your mentality ain't there, you ain't doing nothing. The team ain't got the mentality anymore. It's broken completely. They have no faith in Ange.
Neither of the fans, Dan. Look, neither of the fans. Look, forget that we've just had the worst Premier League season in history with 2 games to go. People still don't understand why so many want him sacked. They don't get it.
Listen, would you take?
Can I ask this guy a question? What do you see? What do you see week after week with this team? Seriously. And you think that if we win the Europa, you think that's a reason to keep this guy? If by any chance Levy has this mad idea to keep Ange until Poch is available in 12 months' time, Poch will be taking us over in the Championship. There is absolutely no question. I said this months ago, and I reiterate it, he will take us down. We've hit rock bottom now. We cannot go any lower. The three underneath us are gone. They're
you
ready.
want to stick, you guys, right, who want Ange to stay, you want to put a sticking plaster on a gaping wound and hope the plaster doesn't peel off. Because once that plaster peels away, you're going to be left with the gaping wound that's gone, that's really festered.
Gone septic.
Can I ask a question, though? Can I ask a question?
You remember Ten Hag? You remember Ten Hag? He won the FA Cup, and all Man United fans. You've got to give him that. You've got to give him another season. You've got to give it to him. And what happened? They gave him a massive budget. He blew it all on dog shit, and by November he was gone. And that's what's going to happen if you guys insist that Angepostecoglou is the man to come back, because this isn't a blip.
Johnny, and look, let me bring you in here, because you've been someone that has been Anjin. Welcome. You can see that everyone else on the panel feels the same. The difficulty that I have is with this, Luke, is yes, if he wins the trophy, and by the way, he bloody well should with the run he's had to this final. Like, look, let's be brutally honest, he's played absolutely.
It hasn't been hard, has it?
He hasn't played anyone where you go, I cannot believe Spurs just won that tournament, right? But my point is this, Luke. He might well win that Europa. Let's hope he does, and we win it. But do all these people that still want Ange in, do they truly believe that winning that Europa, suddenly next season he starts to coach and we actually have some tactics? Because we've seen for 2 years now, the tactics are non-existent. So, Luke, for me, and a bit of a long-winded question, for me, Luke, it's not that we lose games. We always have lost games. Every football club loses games. But we look dreadful. Like, the defence is not organised in any Premier League game. The midfield is wide open. The fullbacks are inverted. He's signed two of the worst wingers I've ever seen in Tell and Odeberg. Doesn't know how to get anything out of them. What do Ange people think is going to happen if we win the Champions League? That his tactics are going to change?
Well, I think obviously the tactics that are in Europe, because I know that you sound about self-motivation, which is definitely something that exists within football 100%, but there has been a quite significant shift in the tactics, as we've already mentioned. And I just don't understand why it's got to this stage where now that's come into it. So I think that's what people are latching onto in terms of, if we can take the Europa League form and the tactics into next season, where can we go from there? But listen, I've been sitting on the fence recently, because I think that I've said that he needs to not only get results, but the tactics need to start going back to. There was a reason we brought him in, and we wanted him in to come and play chaotic attacking football. That's what we wanted. And you quite rightly said when I came on your show that we haven't seen that recently, and we still haven't seen it. We've gone to a more
for a year and a half.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
We've a year and a half.
We've now gone to some sort of structure of a 4-2-3-1, and that's not what he was brought in to do. So I don't know why we've managed to stumble across this tactic, because he's quite clearly changed it. So I just feel like it's a really weird situation to be in, that the tactics are so very different. Because as I say, I know about the motivation, that's fine, but he's clearly changed something. But why has he changed it now? What has he actually seen? He's
only changed. Let's be honest, Luke. He's only changed it for the second half against Frankfurt and the away game against Bodo.
Yeah.
Like everyone's making out like he's done this for the entirety of Europa. Most of the Europa games have been fucking diabolical.
I'm saying recently. So against Frankfurt, against. Yeah. No, I'm just saying that in the last 5 or 6 games, when we've had a decent performance, he's changed the tactics. We've had Basuma and Bentancur sitting in, and obviously a lot of that could be caused because of we mentioned earlier at Bergvall's injury. Have we stumbled across something here? Is he then going to revert back? Is the question. I personally think now, after the ear cupping, after the fighting with fans at Fulham, I personally think the only reason that he does stay, even if he wins Europa, I think the only reason he does stay if there's something going on in the board level where they're sorting something out, and because for footballing reasons and the way that that's kind of gone about, I think his time will end. And you're completely right. The way that he's all of a sudden changed from being a bit happy-go-lucky to everything so negative all of the time, it might just work for him to go as well, because it just seems
you think
he has that attitude? That he had that attitude not just a few weeks ago. He had that attitude, I'd say, about 11 months ago. Because as soon as things didn't start getting his way, last season I'll go back to. Let's call this about 14 months. The second things weren't going his way, acting like a spoilt little bitch. As soon as one of the press asks him quite a civil, simple question about it, he gets his knickers in a twist. He stands there and starts getting moody. He even gets told by a press person, like, the majority of your goals at the moment are coming in from free balls and whatever, and your zonal marking, it just doesn't seem to be working, does it? He goes off his head about it. Unless someone basically comes in there and sucks him in a nice way and talks to him all pretty and nice, he gives them proper attitude, and he can't even handle a normal, down-to-earth question. This ain't just been something that's happened in a few weeks. He's been doing this since last season.
I agree, but also if you actually look, he's got quite a good relationship with the reporters, and quite a lot of the time it's taken out of context. So there was one that Moose from Talk Sport, he asked him a question and he bit on it, and it was Sam bit all over Twitter. Can you believe he said this? And the following question, him and Moose were laughing because it was taken out of context. So I do agree that he does like snap back 100%, but it's become a lot more evident recently. You can tell
because it hasn't been going right for him. It's only when he gets the questions he likes. When he gets a question he don't like, he's done it for about 14 months, where he replies with attitude and gets mouthy, and then makes himself look like even more of a dickhead.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, go on.
Luke, do you think the fans would be more sympathetic if he showed a bit of humility and actually said, you know what? We've really underachieved in the league this year badly, and we're going to try and make it up to the fans and win the Europa. At least the fans would see that he doesn't admit to anything. Nothing is his fault. He takes no responsibility for anything.
I think he has said that, but he always uses excuses and reasons in the same sentence. So he does say we've not been good enough. He does, but he then says we've had injuries or anything like that. He just needs to leave it there and be like, yeah, we've not been good enough. Finished, because then it looks like
but Luke, he says,
that's where I think he's massively let himself down.
He keeps saying we know what we're doing, the players know what the end goal is, what the plan. But this is 2 years now. I'm watching these tactics going, well, if somebody does know what he's doing, could they please inform us? Crystal Palace have rocked up today, right? They've rocked up today, Crystal Palace, and I've got Palace friends that have messaged me saying, I cannot believe how bad you are. Like, they can't believe how badly organised we are. And what happens is, I can guarantee right now, oh, but it's the second team. I'll see that in the chat. We've won 1 game in 10. Van der Ven's been back for those 10 games. Romero's been back. Bentancur, Solanke, could have said. They've all been back. We've won 1 in 10. Isn't it at a stage where we can say, Luke, that this guy can't coach to save his life?
Listen, it was in the Lubo and I were at the away game against Palace. What was the excuse then? We were shambolic. It was one of the worst games I've ever seen.
We got done by Ipswich, John. Before we had the injuries. The injuries.
Yeah, and they've just won their first game at our ground in 28 years. They've done the double over us. It's embarrassing. Embarrassing. I mean, Luke, I understand. Listen, I admire you, but are you more of a fan of Andrew or more of a fan of these people, not yourself, but people in the chat? Are you more of a fan of Andrew or are you more of a fan of the club?
Oh, no. I don't care about Ange. I didn't want Ange when he first came in. I didn't want him at all. So I was fed up with watching boring football. I want to see attacking football. So that when he was first brought in, that was why I kind of took to him. I'm not sitting here saying that Ange isn't responsible for X amount of things. What I'm saying is, as a club, I think we're going wrong in so many different assets of this, and that's why I'm saying I think that the only way that he's still here is if Levy's got this plan we mentioned potentially. Is it Pochettino in 2026? Is it that he can't get Paratici over the line? Is it? We seem to always be waiting for opportunity. So, for instance, right now we can't make a decision. Manager, there's no decision on the manager, so therefore you can't really make a decision on players. We don't know if we're going to be in Champions League, so therefore the quality that you need to. So everything in our club needs to change, and it all needs to basically be reset again, and then have an actual clear plan of where we're going with things.
You say boring football, yeah? That's the one I'll jump on straight away. What was boring about Conte ball? The way he played.
I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it at all. I enjoyed some facets of it, 100%.
We was winning games and getting 4th place. So you telling me this pile of shit?
Worse than Conte?
Are you telling me this pile of shit that we have watched for 2 years, bar the first 10 games, which 4 of those wins was out of pure luck, is better than watching Conte ball?
That's why I've been saying for a month or so that he needs to not only get away from just the result, the performances have to follow. And that's why I agree. I don't think we're not seeing anything to do with Postecoglou's football. We brought Postecoglou in. We had a plan, whether it's a good plan or bad plan. We brought him in for a specific reason, to convert from playing defensive football into attacking football. That's why he was brought in. And he's not delivering that now. So therefore, I don't see how he stays.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
I have a question I'll ask you then.
Hang on, sorry, Dan. He's gone
question.
from one extreme. We're talking about pragmatic football. And Conte played the way he played because of the players he had. And you've got to play the cards you've got. You've got to work with the strengths of the players in the squad.
And he did.
And Conte took us from 9th to 4th. And when he had that round, we were 4th again. Now, for me as a Spurs fan, I'm sure you're the same, Luke. You want winning football, don't you? So if we're 4th with that squad, think about it. You compare the squad we had under Conte to the squads that you had City and Liverpool challenging, fighting each other, winning virtually every single game, 99, 98, 97 points they were winning the league in those seasons, right? And we are 4th with that squad. Now, our squad is nowhere near as good as City's and Liverpool's. So do you not think that Conte did an absolutely amazing job getting us and keeping us there?
I'm not saying he didn't do a decent job. What I'm saying is
what he's done. Hang on, sorry, Luke. But what he's done is he's brought a manager in, and had Levy brought in somebody other than Mum who understood football, they would have looked at Postecoglou's CV, looked at the type of football he plays. And if you've got somebody in football who understands football, he would have looked at that straight away and say, hey, this is great. Listen, he's done a very good job at a lower level, but the players are better. The managers and coaches are cuter. This is not going to work. I'm awfully sorry. This guy is not right for our football club.
And I completely agree, but that goes back to whoever's brought him in. We're now sitting here saying, why does he not adjust from his tactics when we brought him in because he doesn't adjust from his tactics? So it's our own fault. This is what we brought him in to do. If we brought in, say, Marco Silva from Fulham, who's known for changing formations, going from pressing, going to if we brought in a manager like him and then he was constantly changing it, then we'd be like, oh, well, what? He's constantly changing it. That's what you've brought in. You can't expect him to then just implement a single style. So I'm not saying that it's the right way to do it. What I'm saying is, if our idea was to bring him in to play attacking football, for it to be chaotic, for it to be end-to-end basketball football, that's what we've brought him in.
Which I very much doubt he brought him in.
We haven't got
to.
And we haven't got to that now. So that's why
okay, let me ask you a question with this then, yeah? It's a question I have with a lot of Spurs fans. Do you feel Tottenham Hotspur should play a certain way of football because of 100 and whatever years history?
Yes. Yeah, I want to see. No. I want to see front forward attacking.
Then I'm going to totally agree. Bollocks. I don't care how we play. I don't care about the club's history on how it plays football because it doesn't exactly do it very well, does it, over the past 17, 18 years? I just want to win a game. If I've got a manager in that's going to play pragmatic football and play direct football, which is actually good looking football when you've actually got the right players for it. Inter Milan proved it the other day, nice and proper, doing over Barcelona, playing pragmatic counter-attacking football in one of the best games I've ever seen. If you've got the right players, you can do it properly. But I think we got too many Spurs fans stuck up so far up their own arse, they can smell yesterday's dinner and oh no, we can't have a Thomas Frank because he doesn't play the Spurs way.
No, it's not that.
Wake up. If you want to win something, it doesn't matter how you play.
That's exactly it. That's the caveat. That's the caveat. Right? If you can guarantee that you're going to win like it, then brilliant. Conte didn't win like it. So therefore you can't use that as an analogy because he didn't win.
No.
So if we would have won,
people are saying we can only have an attacking manager. People say we can't have Thomas Frank because he don't play the Spurs way.
Dan, the problem here is I understand what you're saying and you make a very good point. My point here is though, you cannot flip-flop in styles, which is what we have done. And there's a balance. There is a balance. I hear what you're saying.
I disagree.
You
can flip-flop with the team you've got, John.
Hang on. Let me just finish what I was going to say, right? There's a balance, right? I don't disagree with what you're saying, but there's a balance. You can be attacking and slightly pragmatic. It's your balance. It's the balance of defense and attack. But our problem has been constantly with this flip-flopping is we go and we have a pragmatic coach, but we've got a progressive football squad. And then when you do it the other way. And so you've got constantly this thing of a squad full of players of no use to the new manager.
So Johnny, then,
But that's
Johnny,
with
the players we've got now,
Right.
yeah, look at the players we got now. We're not going to buy no others just yet. The players we've got now, what sort of manager do we need to get the best out of those players?
Well, there's no point going for another. What I'm saying to you is, if you went for a pragmatic manager,
that's not the question I'm asking you, John. With the players we have now in this team, player for player,
I'm not against Thomas Frank. I'm
asking you, what style manager do we need here and now to get the best out of these players?
You need someone who's got a balance between progressive and pragmatic.
You need
football.
Someone who plays free at the back, who plays direct counter-attacking football, because that is when we've looked at our best.
Yes,
but also we've got wing backs. We've got wing backs. So again, exactly going to what Johnny's saying is that we've got a Conte who plays wing backs. We sign wing backs. We then, as a new manager, sign someone who gets four at the back. So
but if we now go and get a manager,
say he should be flexible, he should be doing this, but this is what he always does. It's like going to get all the best defenders in the world and then asking Guardiola to play defense. It does not.
Hang on. Can I just throw in something here? So I've been listening to this, and I'm thinking, what the fuck are they all talking about? Who on earth is talking about Ange being an attacking manager that plays front-footed football? His football is diabolical. I'm not going to sit here and listen to, we can't flip-flop from tactics. We don't have tactics.
No, I'm not saying we're not flip-flop from tactics, Savva. I'm saying you can't flip-flop with managers, right?
But for me, we've brought in a manager that we keep hearing. I've heard so many people say it. We wanted an attacking manager. You got one. I don't see an attacking manager. I see a manager that has no idea how to get the best out of his wingers. I see a manager that has no idea how to link up play from midfield to the front. I see a manager that gets a playmaker. Bearing in mind, we're one of the only clubs in the league with an out-and-out number 10 like James Maddison. We have him playing on the halfway line or out wide on the left. This manager, I think we've got to... I agree with Dan on this. I don't want to see boring football. I don't think any football fan really does. But Glasner, I'm told, he doesn't play good football. I'm watching Palace today going, I'll have a bit of that. I'll have some of that.
Who said he doesn't play good football?
I'm watching Brentford, right? I keep being told how boring they are. Brentford have scored 63 goals this season. They can't be that bloody boring, right? I'm watching all these teams play football that we keep convincing ourselves their managers are pragmatic, their managers are boring. Oh, but you got what you wanted when you wanted an attacking manager with Ange. I never, ever asked for this. This is the worst football I've ever seen. It's not attacking.
No one's denying that.
It's not good in transition. It's not good in possession. It's not good defensively. It's not good at stifling teams. It's not good in the press. And I'm going to say it again because I'm pissed off, guys. A few wins against crap teams in Europe has got everyone saying, this is the guy. He's going to be one of our most successful managers of all time. Well, if what?
Who's saying that? Who's saying that? Morons.
Morons. Johnny, how many are saying it?
I know, they're morons. They're morons. Look, the whole problem
so many
all started with Levy deciding, you know what, I'm going to appoint a guy who's into cycling, right, as my director of freaking football, right? Okay. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to appoint him and he's going to oversee my whole football club because you know what? He's worked out in China, you know, and he's worked for the City Group, you know. So what we're going to do, I know what we're going to appoint him, okay? And then he appoints a guy called Johan Lang, who was demoted at Aston Villa. And they spend 4 months searching for a manager when they had Slot, Gallardo, Amorim. I could list, there's a whole load of managers that were free and available at the time. And he spends 4 months to appoint his mate. And they are mates, right? They know each other. They are mates. 4 months to appoint this clown, right? And this is where it is. Second-rate manager, second-rate director of football, second-rate Scott Munn, right? All three of them, right? It's
all
like,
taken on, Johnny, all employed by an owner who ain't got the first idea about football. It always comes back to him.
And that's why I'm saying about the whole strategy that we need to have an idea. We need to have an idea of what you want. So I'm not saying it has to be attack. If they don't want to go down that route, then that's absolutely fine. If Paratici's the one and he wants to go and he wants to get Conte type football, then that's what he has. But the idea of constantly going from a manager that plays this way to that way, it just doesn't make any sense, because then we get left with squads that don't. Many other
teams do it though.
What?
I mean, look at it this way. Look at it this way. Yeah,
actually very successful though. City have had the same manager for years. Arsenal
and how many times have they changed? And how many times does he change his tactics? Literally season by season. How many times does Arteta change his tactics season by season?
Right, Guardiola makes tweaks to a system, but he's the best manager in the world. So he tweaks the system. He's used to the players. He knows the players inside out. We constantly go from one extreme to another.
I get what you're saying there, yeah, but I think you've missed the point on what I was getting at. Maybe I put it forward the wrong way, yeah. The problem we have definitely in the fan base at Spurs is there is only one way you can play at Spurs. We can't have a manager like Thomas Frank because he plays like this. That's not the Spursy way to do it. And I say Spursy way because there is no Spurs way to do it. Because apart from when Poch was here, we have earned no credibility on that pitch whatsoever. So there's so many people out there who would sit there and say, oh, no, I won't have that manager, even though you can see he's tenfold the manager Ange's because he plays a certain way and it ain't the Spurs way. If you look at the team we've got now, if we do not get a manager in that is a little bit more pragmatic, sit back, counter-attacking football and plays free at the back, it's basically a rebuild for the whole bloody team again. Because this team, I called this out, 14, 15 months ago. This team is screaming for someone like Conte with 3 at the back, 2 wing backs, and then play it as you want, a 2-2, 1-3-2, whatever way you want to put it. And every game we have played good and actually looked good on that pitch. What have we done? Counter-attacking football with no inverted wing backs. So if we got a manager that works with the team we've got, there'd still be idiots on here going, oh, yeah, but that's not the Spurs way to play. I don't like it. And enjoy the crap you've got then.
I also read some stats. I'm not sure how true they are. I just read some stats on Twitter. Someone sent through that when they play in a pragmatic way, they play 4 at the back and they counter-attack, then the points per game total this season would put us second in the table. And it's a very small amount of games that we played. And the majority of the games we played put us 19th.
You're talking about the possession stats, aren't you? Like if it's under
no, I'm not talking. Yes, possession stats, correct. When we're in a minority, correct. In the minority, we are second in the table, and when we play this stupid inverted fullbacks, and we got more possession than anybody else, we are 19th.
It's essentially along the lines of when we let teams push onto us and we counter and we have less possession, then we.
So what manager do we need to bring in now? Do we?
Well, you've got to bring Glasner in for me.
In our next manager, in our next manager that we bring in with the team we have right now, because we haven't got the 200, 300, 400 million to go in one go and change the whole team round. So what sort of manager do we need now? For me, we need a more pragmatic, counter-attacking manager to get the best out of the players we've got. But there will still be people here who sit there and say, that's not the Spurs way to do it. I don't like it. I'm not.
That's going to be the case for it. There's always going to be a section of fan base that disagree with everything, isn't there? That's just.
I get where you're coming from.
Can we agree, guys? We've got some brilliant wing backs at this football club and dreadful wingers, right?
Yeah.
We've got brilliant wing backs, dreadful wingers. Yet what do? We play our wing backs as fullbacks, and we keep persisting with these dreadful wingers. And I'm going to argue with anyone. Matisse Tell is shit, and Odegaard is nowhere near the level that should have been.
Are you saying he's not worth 50 million? Are you saying he's not worth 50 million?
No, I'm saying he's not worth 5 million, right? So for me, we need a manager that can come in. And I'm not saying, guys, that every week we must play wing backs. But we need a manager that comes in and realizes, what are my strengths? My strengths are now, I've got a good core of 4 centre-backs, Romero, Van der Ven, Danso, and Dragushin, that have all played in their previous clubs, by the way. Every single one of those 4 has played in a back 3. you've got a Dogie and Porro, who, guess what? That's right, have played in a back three, right? It's there. It's in front of his eyes what to do. But we don't do that. What we do is invert our fullbacks, who aren't even fullbacks, they're wingbacks. And we keep persisting with two wide men that aren't very good, right? Now, all we need to do for me is a manager that can come in and see that, right? Come in and see that. Or the manager might come in, guys, and go, I want to play 4 at the back, but it's not going to be a Porro and a Dogie. I might need to let them go. Now, before everyone gets mad at me, what I'm saying is get a manager to come in and play with what he needs.
Is that not what Alan should have done, Sav? Is that not what he should have done? If he wasn't going to play 3 at the back, then get rid. You don't need. Conte wanted wing backs. Conte wanted Porro and Udogie. They were brought in for Conte. Conte's gone. Ange's come in. Surely he would have sat down and gone through hours and hours and hours of videos, watching matches from the previous season, looking at the players, seeing what he's got before making up his mind who he wanted. And unfortunately, it was Johnson instead of Kudus, wasn't it? Which was one example. The season transfer window before last. So, how bad is he as a manager to see the quality of the players he's got and what positions they suit, and then go and do the complete opposite system-wise?
Yeah, but you're talking about a complete full overview. If he plays 4 at the back and we've got 3 wing backs, he ain't gonna. We're not a Man City. We're gonna go out and sign fullback. So again, it's not down to it's down to whoever's brought him in again. This is what I'm gonna keep going back to. It's the same thing over and over.
Why? If you've got a manager that comes in and says, "Do you know what? I want to play a back 4. I reckon I could." Just for example, I reckon a Dogie could do a job at left back. Porro's not a right back for me. I can't fit him in. That's where you act like a big club and go, all right, cool. We'll sell Porro. Bring in a right back.
I just don't think we'd do it. I think that the January window is prime reason for that. We knew that we had 2 centre backs out for 2.5 months, and we signed an outfield player on the 2nd of Feb. It's just it's not going to happen.
What we know, Luke, is that unfortunately, this is the first time since Steve Hitchin that Levy gave Steve Hitchin money, which he pissed down the drain. We know the signings he made. All of them hardly played, and we got any money back for any of them. That he's been given money, and they've trusted in Angie's talent ID along with Johan Lange. And I'm going to say, apart from Lucas Bergvall and maybe a couple, it's been a disaster. His signings. I mean, there are players there that I don't understand. You know, when I'm looking for a Brian and Mbeumo now, or granted, this isn't after the horse is bolted. I was talking about it before. Right, so just to make it clear about this, right? But what was levelled at me, his finishing isn't good enough. We got Brennan Johnson. I'm no fan of Dom Solanke. I'm not going to say he's a terrible player. He works really hard. He's a grafter. For me, he's not a technically gifted striker, okay, in any shape, way, or form. And he's a middle table striker. That's my opinion. Not everyone has to agree, but you know, you go after a Goikarez, you go after a top. I to think that this manager could possibly be here next season, and they're going to entrust in him even more money to spend, because the only players I think that have got great value are still the ones that Fabio brought into the club. 12 million for Papasar, 15 million for Destiny. You know the play. You could go through the
17 million.
Bentancur for 17 million, Kulu for 35 million, Kuti for 45 million. You know, they are still the core of this squad, right? And this team, and they have an intrinsic value. I'm just worried. I mean, can you see us getting 47 million back for Brennan Johnson? Could you see us? I mean, is Matthias Tell? You know, he wants to do this Matthias Tell. He has to go back. I hope the kid has a fantastic career, right? But we can't afford to be spending that sort of money on a player that scored 3 goals, 1 a penalty and 1 a tap-in the last 28 games in Germany and here.
Again, it comes down to priority, doesn't it? It comes down to priority. You got 50 million. You got 50 million that they want for Tell. I know. I agree with you. I've been saying Mbeumo or 60 on Mbeumo, but we would probably go and sign Tell because we know that in a couple of years he might be. Whereas it's all about you getting your priorities sorted and going. Actually, this is where we need. I think Tell will eventually be a good player, but he's not what we need right now. So therefore,
I'm not sure he will. I've seen nothing. I've seen nothing in this bloke that makes me think I'd even want him for a fiver. He can't pass. He can't shoot. He can't beat a man. His dribbling is crap. And we got Spurs fans, not you, Luke. We got Spurs fans saying, "Oh, I'd want him, but it'd need to be 30 million." Sorry, give me 30 million. Give me 30 million. I'll come back in a month and slap down 10 names on the table from you across Europe of wingers that are actually wingers.
Hey,
this is how embarrassing we are.
You buy Mbeumo, you buy Eze, you buy Delap. I could go for a whole list of
30 million on Delap. There you go.
Yeah, look, it's what we've done from day. At the start of the season, we knew that we needed some experience in that team. Yet we go out and spend 40 million on shit like Archie Gray. You ain't even ready for the Premier League yet.
I knew we were going to bring Gray in.
Well, it comes into it with what we buy, doesn't it? It has to. 40 million on a player that isn't even ready for it.
Bergvall, I'll give him massive plaudits for pulling that off, right?
But he was only 12 million. That's what I mean. But 40 million is a big difference. If we're going to go spend 50 million on Tell, when he blatantly is just not what we needed and not good enough, but we keep doing it again. And then people defend it, for God's sake.
But look at Brennan Johnson.
Johnny, people said don't get Eze because we had bloody Gray and Bergvall there.
I know about that one. But you're talking about the manager that didn't want him, right? Not the player didn't want to come. Look,
the manager didn't want Eze. Is this true? The manager did not want Eze at our club.
I think he would with Maddison. I think he's pretty much said that he don't need him.
But that's madness. Look how Palace played today with Mateta up front and Sarr and Eze were literally allowed to go wherever. Hang on. Yeah. Sarr and Eze were allowed to just float where Eze was on the left, on the right, attacking midfield, dropping back. Why couldn't we do that with Maddison and Eze behind the top striker and wing backs? Guys, hear me out. Give me 1 minute. Hear me out. If I turn around and said to you this, bearing in mind I'm being really conservative here. Imagine we had Glasner and Tottenham Hotspur signed Eze and I'm gonna go really conservative here. Eze and Jonathan David, two players.
Love it.
Right? And we've got Vicario in goal. Romero, Van der Ven, and Danso or Dragusin, whoever you think, who all play in a back three. Let Danso or Dragusin be the guy that doesn't do all the running. They just sit there. They're the solid, head everything away. Romero and Van der Ven be the guys. Right? Right wing back Porro. Left wing back Udogie, which is what they are. Midfield two, we could talk Bergvall, whoever. Right? And then, like the way Palace play, now you've got Maddison, Eze, Jonathan David. That team, with Glasner managing it, we're saying wouldn't be in the top 5, top 6.
100% would be. 100%.
Right. So all I've done there, by the way, Johnny, all I've done to make that 11 happen, obviously you can have more players going out and coming in, but all I've done to make that 11 and that tactic happen is sign Eze as your star man and Jonathan David, who's on a free transfer. That's how mad this whole situation is at Spurs. But we keep going and we keep buying wingers. Wingers. And the manager doesn't know how to get the best out of a winger.
Go on. I'm just going to quickly say, Luke, right? Levy broke his tradition. He was going to Brentford for £35 million, right? And he turned it down. He said, I don't want to go there. Levy, because Ange said he must have him, ended up paying £47 million, £12 million more than they'd already agreed for this player. Now, all I hear is, but he scored 22 GA this season, right? Now, you can't argue with that. He's been our best goal and assist in the league this season. But where I come from, a game's about 90 minutes. You can't score a tap in and then go missing for the rest of the 80, 90 minutes. You can't do it. It's a team game.
Not in that position, you can't do it. There's
I
only
think
two
Solomon-
positions you can go missing in a game, and that is up front and as a goalkeeper. And you can be irrelevant for 89 minutes, but then you need that split second where you have to be there to do your
Agreed.
job. They're the two
Agreed.
places you can basically do that. The rest of it has to be on. Savva, you go on about wingers. We don't buy bloody wingers. We haven't got any. Johnson ain't a winger. Odegaard
You know
ain't
what
a
I mean?
winger. Tell ain't a winger. They're all inside forwards, if you ask me, more than anything, or inverted wingers. They are not out and out wingers. Not one of them.
How does
can cross
Ange
the
play
ball.
them?
But
My point
I
is,
don't- I
how
know.
does Ange play them, Dan?
Exactly,
That's
and
what's
it
mad,
makes
right?
and it makes no bloody sense.
Well,
we
It's
said-
even down to Son. Son was never ever a winger. He
No,
can't
correct.
pass for shit, come love nor money most of the time. It's average at best. He can't cross. He was always best at cutting in and doing the inside forward job and a world-class finisher. That is what Son could do. He was never ever a winger. Johnson is not a bloody winger. Tell is not a winger. A winger
it's
needs
not-
to be
Dan,
able to
you
cross
get my
and
point.
pass that
We
ball.
keep buying these people,
Totally.
and if you look since he's come in, he's officially signed Kulu. Whichever way people look, he officially signed
Porro
Kulu.
as well,
right?
I think.
He signed Tell on loan, Solomon, Yang, Odegaard. It's just
Werner.
kind of like Werner twice.
Johnson.
I'm looking at this and going, I don't think you know a winger. I don't think you know what a winger is, mate. Because if you
Solomon
knew
is
what-
the closest.
Hey,
Solomon,
Solomon, hang on. No disrespect to Solomon here, right? Because I'll tell you what, all you fans who are looking down on Manor Solomon, I've said it over and over again. You need to get your head checked, right? Looking down, snobbery down at the Championship, right? He's like an idol up there, right? You know, it's become too political. It's become a political hot potato rather than actually focusing on what he's doing. Look how many goals he scored from outside the box. Look how many assists he's got. He's broken
He's the closest to a winger, isn't he? Like an actual winger.
71% goal involvement, right, is a Leeds record, all-time record in a league season, right? Don't disrespect him. The problem is we have a manager that couldn't spot talent if it jumped up and bit him on the arse. And that is the problem.
All of them players that you listed, Savva, for me, they're all squad options. None of them are really coming in to be like, you're the star man. And that's what I keep hearing. Oh, we need to boost the squad. Well, actually, if you've got a first 11 and you go and sign an Mbeumo, Johnson becomes a squad option. And then all of a sudden, and this is where I think we've been so, we need a bigger squad. We need a bigger squad. Well, yes, when you buy first team ready made players, then your first team player now then becomes a squad option. That's how you improve your team. Because otherwise, all you're doing is just our first 11 is basically, other than Solanke, hasn't improved.
It's the same.
It doesn't make
You're
any
right.
sense why we keep doing
But
this.
we go and buy Archie Grays and we go and buy bloody Tells.
Well, even
haven't
the
bought
Telltale,
Tell.
we
haven't
talk-
bought Tell.
We're not-
You know what I mean? We brought him in when we blatantly did not need another kid in that team with lack of experience.
But you sent Solomon out on loan, and then you paid $8 million for Werner for wages, $8.5 million, of which 5 of that is sitting on his backside doing nothing now.
We were never signing him.
And
We
he
were
brings
signing
Telly.
Kolo Muani. We were signing Kolo Muani, right?
We
And
were.
because that didn't come off, we moved on to Tell. But Tell wasn't our number one target. It's all bullshit.
The funniest thing about Tell is that we couldn't even get Tell over the line until Ange called him up. Now, how bad have you got to be as a recruitment team if you need Ange as the one that's got to make the calls? Ange is supposed to be the final piece in the puzzle. He's not supposed to get the deal over the line. He's supposed to just be at the end, not ringing him up and actually getting.
At what stage does Ange turn around and go, why you want me to loan Tell? At what stage does a football club do we go, this guy's not very good? And again, sorry, I want to be horrible because like Johnny said, I hope he has a really good career. I do. But again, this is what we signed. And the thing is, when people say, like, he signed Werner twice, people say, oh, that was a club signing. Well, surely after the first time, Ange would have turned around and gone, do not get me that guy back. But he didn't. We got him back again. Look, the main thing is this.
I've got to shoot.
Yeah, take care, Lubo. Thanks.
Cheers, guys.
See you, mate. Bye. See, Lubo, he's got big time now. He's gone to last word on Spurs. See, the problem is, right, players like we saw today, Eze, that is what we should be buying. Players like Eze who are brilliant with their touch, their control, their vision, their technique. They get people off their seats. We don't buy that. We've got fans in this fan base saying, I wouldn't want Eze. Let that sink in. We got fans in the summer that were saying things like, I don't want Eze because we bought BILBAO, right? Let that sink in. We've got fans were saying they wouldn't want Guirassy from Dortmund, but they applauded £60 million on Dominic Solanke. We've got to take some of the blame as fans here. Our fans have normalised average players. We've normalised it. Look in our WhatsApp group. I'm not going to name names. Look in our WhatsApp group when we're arguing, Danny, about the quality of some players. We've got people in the WhatsApp group that want to sign these players that have done nothing because I see something, right? We've got fans that for years were saying wouldn't want Dybala. You're like, sorry, we're Tottenham. You wouldn't want Paulo Dybala. Yeah, because of this is where we're at. And Stel summed it up. I think he stole it from my video 2 weeks ago. But Stel summed it up today. He said, we have normalized losing an average. We have normalized it. We sign players like Tell, like Odegaard, like Solanke, and you've got an army of YouTubers that have no standards, right? That will just turn around and make videos going, how Tell fixes Spurs front line. Fuck off. How do you know he fixes our front line? I bet you've never watched a Bayern Munich game in your life, right? You've then got those same people, why Solanke revolutionizes Ange's system. Then when he doesn't do very well, it's, but Ange hasn't played to his strength. You got people saying, Odegaard, smart signing. We missed him when he was injured. He has been absolute toilet. But these fans normalize losing. They normalize average. We have got an army of fans, and I know I'm ranting, but you've got to let me go when I rant. You boys know me by now. We have normalized losing 20 games. Look how many people going, yeah, but if Ange wins a cup, does it matter? This is our worst ever Premier League season. How does that not matter? How? It's got so bad, guys. No one's taking the piss out of me from any other fan bases anymore. That's when you know you're shit. When we were good under Poch, they'd take the piss because we couldn't quite get it over the line. Now we're shit. They're just like, what's the point in debating you? Like, what's the point? You're shit. And we know we're shit, right? We know we're shit. This is the worst I've ever seen Tottenham.
You know what, today, Savva, the ultimate, the funniest part of today was when the Palace fans sung to us, I think it was about 70 minutes, why the fuck are you still here? It was a classic. It was a classic. I laughed because that summed it up. Why the fuck are you still here? I mean, they were singing, you're fucking shit, in which we are. No one even responded to it. But
I think that was us, Johnny. I don't think that was them. That was us singing it.
That was us. But then they were singing, they say, why the fuck are you still here? Look, I loved every minute of Bodo, right? But I wasn't delusional enough. I wasn't delusional enough to think to myself, oh, we've just beaten a fantastic team. We beat nobody. And that's the fact. We beat no one. We've had the easiest passage, apart from probably Eintracht Frankfurt, to the final. And let's be honest, Mario Götze going off and Mamouche going and another one of their players, one of their main players being out, was a massive boost for us. But
sorry, just quickly, Sly Nell, nobody said that. What made videos saying why so-and-so fixes. Danny, you've got the receipts, haven't you? The number of YouTubers, why so-and-so solves. The same YouTubers that this week suddenly go, I did have my doubts about Ange, but after seeing his post-match dressing room talk, you've got to love him. And the players are running through brick walls for him. 3 days later, we put in that garbage. Yeah, really looks like they're running through brick walls for him.
They wouldn't run through cardboard for him, and it bloody shows. The only thing those players are going to play for, the league, is irrelevant to them. It is done. It is dusted, like I repeat. The only thing those players are going to play for is for themselves when they play in that Europa Cup.
I can't see our league performances changing. Forget about the results. I can't see the performances changing.
Exactly. That's basically what I'm saying. That's why, to me, when I say it's irrelevant, it's because I know exactly how we're going to play, same as every other team does. I know that he's not going to adapt it. I know that he's not going to change it. It looks like he's lost more than half the dressing room. The players don't seem to give a flying fuck either. And that's why, to me, I'm just like, game over. It's done. I called this 3 months ago for the sheer fact I wanted Spurs to win. We could have saved that league or had a more respectable league if we would have got rid of Ange 3 months ago in Christmas. As soon as he did not go at Christmas, I turned around and said, season over for me. Okay, we got the cups. I'll focus on that. But the league games, it was over because you could blatantly see what had been happening before 3 months ago for the past 16 months even. You could see it.
You was discussing, Savva said earlier about if he changed the formation and we went to 5 and then we had the 2 in midfield, and he said we could argue that. We knew that the midfield needed strengthening a year ago. Right. We needed someone to come in and strengthen it up. But
can I ask you, Luke, let me ask you a question. Just quickly, Dan. Sorry, Dan. Just really quickly, Luke. But this is the thing, right? Glasner, in that midfield for Crystal Palace, there are 4 options in midfield, right? A Kamada, Wharton, Hughes and Lerma, right? If I had suggested to any Spurs fan in the summer that would have been our 4 midfield options, everyone would do what they normally do. Nah, not good enough for Spurs. I suggested in the summer, Sander Berg, like him, good midfielder, does his job. Not sexy, no frills, does his job. Not good enough for Spurs. That's the problem, Luke. So you're telling me, right?
I know what you're saying, but it shouldn't really impact that.
If Glasner had Bentancur, Basuma, Bergvall, and Sarr, just 4 options there in midfield, right? And was playing 2 of them each week, are we saying he couldn't get the best out of them the way he has of Will Hughes and Kamada?
No. I still think we need to upgrade that position, though. I still think
that's not what I said. I didn't say we didn't need to, but my point is, if somebody had turned around and said, who were the 2 today? Hughes and Lerma, right?
Yeah.
Will Hughes and Lerma. And our fans have got the cheek to turn around and go, yeah, but we played our B team. But if I'd said to anybody, Will Hughes, Lerma, Mateta, Sarr, Munoz, Mitchell, Lacroix, Richards, Henderson, everyone in the summer would have said, none of them get in our team. None of them.
Yeah,
but look, that's what a good coach does. A good coach makes it work. So imagine now that good coach has got Bentancur and Basuma as your 2 in that double pivot with the back 3. So you don't need a DM because you've got the double pivot in front of the back 3, 2 wing backs, and then 2 playmakers behind someone like Mateta. This isn't rocket science.
But again, no, I agree. And I've been saying this, that the 5 in the back, or the wing backs, whatever you want to call it, that suits this current team. And that's what, again, it goes back to the whole way with Paratici. The whole idea is that the director of football has a way of playing, and that when your manager changes, nothing really changes. You just get another manager in that suits what you've already got. And that's why I think that's a possibility of the reason why we've not seen anything change yet, because he can't make a change at Christmas, bring in Paratici in July, and then Paratici goes, well, that manager you've had for 6 months, I don't want him neither. And we talk about, I really like the term that I keep hearing people say about being a serious club. We're not one, because a serious club would do that. A serious club, Chelsea, would come in and go, it's not right now. Bring someone in that can fix it, and then in the new year, in the summer, we'll get a new director of football. We'll change everything around, and we'll sack that manager as well. Exactly. They would do that, but we wouldn't. But we wouldn't do that.
But you're right, because Chelsea, let's be brutally honest, as crazy as that football club is, Chelsea wouldn't allow a manager to lose 20 league games. But it doesn't matter if they've won a Champions League or what. Chelsea would not allow a manager to get 20. I don't think people understand just how many it is. And what I mean, I'm not saying people don't understand the number 20. But this is bloody huge. 20 league games in 36 is massive. This is more than losing every other week. We're going to lose to Villa.
We will definitely.
I think we'll lose to Villa.
When I was on
Brighton might have something to play for.
We looked at all the fixtures, and there is an argument that the first 11, i.e. the one that played in Europa League, there is an argument that team does not play another, as an 11 doesn't start another Premier League game, because we've got the Europa League midweek, so therefore the Saturday and the next following week you might not play it, and everything else. So there's an argument that we don't play our best 11, if you like. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we lost more games.
If he would just stop inverting his wing backs and just drop back 5-10 yards, I think that's 25-30% of our problem sorted. Or even if he uses one of them at a time as an inverted wing back and the other one comes in to make 3 at the back because we don't play with the DM. I think if he even done that, we're 12 to 15 points better off.
I think I'm pretty sure, Savva, when I came on your show that first time, probably 6 weeks ago, that's exactly what I said. I said there are tiny little tweaks that he needs to make, i.e. bring another midfielder in, stop. If you're inverting one, don't invert the other. Then he does it, and all of a sudden we start seeing this. But again, I go back to, I think that with BILBAO getting injured, did that force the hand? Because that's when we really started to see Bissouma and Bentancur sitting together. And then the other argument is, if Son was fit, would Son have played in the Europa League, and therefore would we have been able to get the results we got? Because I feel like Son, especially towards the end before he's injured,
I'm going to have to go, mate. Sorry. Thanks very much for having me on. Just to say, since November the 5th, 2023, we've lost 36 games. This is not a blip.
League.
This is a disaster. No, in all their games.
Oh, in all competitions, 36, yeah. So it's 32 league games in all, right?
I think it's 32 league games and 36 games. It might even be more now. I've lost. I gave up counting since November the 5th, 2023.
Well, we must have been knocked out the FA Cup. We've lost the FA Cup this year, the League Cup this year, and
we lost in the Europa League, didn't we?
One game in the Europa or two?
Could be 30.
2 games in the Europa. So we've lost 37 games of football in 19 months.
Yeah. And people want to keep him on. Honestly, guys, have a word with yourself and understand, right? I don't know what game you're in. I love this club. It's not about the manager. I love my club. My club's been destroyed. Yes, I will take the trophy. Thank you very much. But let's be honest, we've been very lucky. We ain't played anyone. Man United's going to be the best team we've faced in the final, and they ain't been much good.
And they're 16th in the Premier League.
Correct.
If we both turn up and play our bad games, I reckon at half time they'll just cut it and put like Comedy Club on.
Yeah.
There's no way they're going to continue that for a second half.
Thanks very much, guys.
Take care, Johnny. Thanks, mate.
See you later, guys.
See you later, mate.
See you, buddy. I reckon what they'll do is at half time, call the game off and just go, right, we're giving that Champions League place to somebody who's finishing 5th in Spain or Italy or something. Listen, I do feel that people don't understand that. But I think the point Johnny just made there before he left, and by the way, this is the best comment I've ever seen. I completely agree with this 100%. Savva is a sexy beast. My wife might disagree with you. The point Johnny just made there is perfect. Fans like, not you, Luke, because you aren't Ange out. Fans like me and Dan get a lot of stick. We've been called all sorts of names. They're not real Spurs fans. They're toxic. Yeah, get behind the team. Difference is, I'm a Spurs fan. I'm not an Ange fan, right? I find it really hard with this notion, Luke, of just get behind the team, because at the moment, what we're seeing, what are we getting behind? It's bloody atrocious. So I think that, yes, I've said it for the millionth time. I think we will win the Europa League. I think he's just had that sort of luck in the Europa League. I think we will win the Europa League. But this can't be the guy I have, Luke, taking me to another Premier League 38-game season. And this
I don't think it would be if it was anywhere near
be in the Champions League. He cannot set up in the Champions League. It will be utterly embarrassing.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. I've actually said that could end up being a bigger problem than actually being a positive if we get into the Champions League and we don't make the necessary upgrades that we actually need to make, because
I agree.
We've got a certain amount of areas where we need to massively upgrade. And as I said, I'll keep going back to it, and I've been saying it a while now. I'm sick and tired of keeping upgrading the squad. We need to upgrade the 11. That's the bottom line. We need to go out and, instead of spending your 30s on Gray, like we were saying earlier about 40 on Gray and this, that, and the other, we need to stop spending. You spend 40 on Gray and 30 on Odebear, you got 70 million there. Like, you could have spent 70 million and got an unbelievable amount of centre midfielders. You could have gone and got a right winger. It's just crazy.
Surely the way it works, Luke, I make you 100% right on this, mate. Surely the way it works, if Spurs turn around this window and go, right, we're going to buy in 5 players. No, actually, let's be conservative. We're going to buy 4 players, right? We're going to buy a striker. We're going to buy a centre mid. We're going to buy a centre back, and we're going to buy a winger. I don't know. Right. Surely the whole point is that all 4 of those players that come in are better than what you've got. The 4 that you've already got drop down, And then the 4 that were below them, you're saying, sorry, guys, that you're surplus to requirements. We're going to try and find you a move, or your game time is going to be limited. I don't think it's rocket science. But again, look in the summer, how many fans we had. Dan, how many shows did we do, Dan, where people were praising? Oh, my God, this great. Oh, my God, he's amazing. Oh,
generational.
Odeber, you don't know what he's capable of.
Players.
Well, if I don't know what he's capable of, how do you? Because I've seen the exact same thing you have. Not you two. I always use the word you. I just mean everyone.
Oh, no.
We've done it again with Tell. Oh, you guys don't understand how good he is. Well, no, I don't, because I'm not seeing it. Like that. But
again, it comes down to priorities. That's what I'm saying. Like for me, I know you said you don't see anything in Tell. I can see something in Tell, but he's not a priority right now. I don't need that sort of player, and especially when I've got other positions where I need to strengthen. That's where the money should be going. Like we say about this, say we don't get into the Champions League, you've got Romero's probably going, so that's 60 odd million. You when you sell off a few of the players that are out on loan or whatever, you're probably looking at £100 million of upgrades, and you could spend that 100 million in so many different ways. I just don't trust us to do it right. I can imagine us going and dropping another 30 million on a 17, 18, 19-year-old, and then still not upgrading the areas that we need.
Here's a question, guys. And I'm going to wrap up the show in the next 5 minutes, and I will be redirecting everybody over to Stel at Tottenham away. Apparently, according to AI, I don't know, don't shoot me. Apparently, this is the first time in the Premier League era where a team has suffered 20 or more defeats without being relegated. Now, I don't know if that's true. I've not verified that. I've not gone and done my research, but this is the levels of how shit this man has made us, that we've gone from 5th to 17th in 12 months. That is
shocking.
In any other football club, that is not accepted. Leicester City didn't even accept that with their previous manager and brought in a new manager. Yeah, they were always going to go down. Leicester City didn't accept that. Southampton didn't even accept that. There's little old Tottenham.
That's why I
accept that.
There is something going on behind the scenes, whether it be a takeover, a mini takeover, or a director of football change. There has to be something that's gone on behind the scenes to mean that he didn't want to have an overhaul mid-season. That's the only thing that makes any sense. As I say, you bring in a Paratici, he brings in his own man, and this, that, and the other. That is the only thing that makes sense. And obviously, Paratici was done to AC Milan. So was that the plan? I don't know. Have we stumbled across that as a plan? Possibly. And that's just, I think that's how we go. We go and we get lucky. We stumble across something and something might work.
I think Levy has got a plan, and I think he's had a plan for a little while. And it's like I said, he's given the majority of Spurs fans exactly what they asked for. Like you said, an attacking manager. Does he play attacking football? Does he help for me? But technically, an attacking manager. That
was the idea
exactly.
of him, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I'm agreeing with you. And then he's gone and given 400 million to spend. 350, 400 million, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And with the high majority of fans do not sack this manager no matter what and everything. You've got to stick by him and everything else. He's stuck by him through thick and thin this season. Mm-hmm. He hasn't sacked him at semi-finals. He's stuck by him through thick and thin. He hasn't sacked him before the final now, and it looks like he will keep him till the end of the season, and Angie's gone. Levy has basically gone and done what a majority of the fan base wanted. And he stuck to what a majority of the fan base was still screaming at Christmas and everything. The majority was still saying, keep this manager. He needs to stay. We're still in this cup, that cup, that cup. Yet as all you can see is we are just going down the league like we just walked off a building, let alone bit by bit. We might as well have just walked off a bloody cliff the way we went down, yeah? He's actually gone and done what a lot of Spurs fans asked him to do. And then it got to a point where you got people saying, please give me my old Levy back and get rid of this prick out of the club because he ain't doing the bloody job. I know. And he has basically gone and done what a majority of fans have been screaming for him to do for years. I think he had a plan already at Christmas in the idea of, because I don't care what people think of Levy, you can't tell me that man is stupid. No, he doesn't do it from the football side. But
hence why I said it, Dan. He's got a plan. He must have.
I think he's got a plan. Whether it's going to work on the football side or not, I think he's just personally, what I said is we should have got Ange out at Christmas, and even if it meant bringing in Gareth Southgate for bloody 3 months, his tactics would have worked better with this team than Ange's tactics. No matter how people don't like him, I'm sure he would have got some better results than bloody Ange. 3 months, there you go, right, done, dusted, out the way, season, whatever we could get out of it. And then I personally think he's going to have a complete clear out. Ange is definitely gone, whether he wins it or not, in my opinion. I hope I'm right. And if he is already bringing in Paratici and others, then it's already showing that Ange is on his way. And the other thing is with Ange, I think it's also, there's certain players there. I mean, Romero's gone, come love nor money. But I think there's other players there like Maddison and maybe a couple of others who are blatantly going to say, you keep this manager, we're off. And there's going to be other players that they go for who say, okay, I'm interested in Spurs, but you're sticking with a manager who just got you 17th, who plays the most stupid football I've seen, who is probably the worst manager I've ever seen in the Premier League, and who plays with 2 at the back, for God's sake, but still can't play attacking foot. I ain't going. I personally think Angie's gone.
There was a rumor on Twitter that it was Paratici. So basically, there was a conversation I had on Twitter with someone about Paratici coming back. And I said that with Langer, he's talent ID. He's not ready-made first-team players. He's all about youth, going out, signing youth, looking at Scandinavia. So what I said, in a perfect world, now I don't think they coexist. Paratici comes in and looks after the first team, with Langer looking after the young players and the under-21s. And then apparently, I think it was Sammy Mockball come out and said that is actually a plan that we're looking at. And I think that would work absolute wonders. You turn around and almost do like a football manager thing where you turn around and go to Paratici, you've got this amount, Langer, you have this amount, go and do what you want.
Look, I completely agree with you. Listen, in a perfect world, they all go. But Lang, for me, should be a scout. Right? That's what Lang should be a scout. He should not be a director of football. Just quickly before we go, and I am going to end the show when if Stel goes live. I'm just waiting to see when he goes live. I will transfer you all over there. He hasn't gone live yet. Guys, Luke, I need this explained as well. I think many people do. It feels like it's just you and Phil Coys that see something in Tell. Can I ask what it is? Because he can't score, he can't shoot, his crossing is dreadful, his dribbling is awful, his passing's terrible, he's weak, he loses the ball. What do you see in him that the rest of us don't?
I'm not saying he's set the world alight, and as I said, I personally wouldn't sign him right now. I don't think he improves our team, but I think that the way he's came over, the way he's adapted in terms of he's got it with Spurs. He's understood it. He was the first one jumping in the stadium, in the fans in Bodo. He backed the manager, and I think I've seen him play for Bayern Munich because I adore Harry Kane, like some probably do and some don't. So I used to watch Bayern Munich all of the time, and it always just felt he doesn't live up to expectations in terms of always hitting the higher notes, but I just feel like with Tell he can deliver. And
okay, so but let me challenge you. I've got to challenge you on this, because so far, do you know how I know he's not very good? Is because your first praise for him was about him jumping in the crowd and getting the club. It wasn't about anything to do with his ability. When you're saying when you're saying you think he can deliver, I watch a lot of German football. I watch a lot of Italian football, Spanish football. I watch so much football. It's embarrassing, to be honest. I should stop. I've got an addiction, right? I've watched Tell. This man don't deliver. This man in his whole career isn't a goal scorer. He's not very good at beating his man. His crossing isn't good. So when you're saying he can deliver, but I just need to know what this is based on, because I keep hearing, like you say the same things that Phil Coys in our chat says, but my eyes for watching this guy for 2 years has told me you don't really do anything. Like, he's no better than Solomon. He's no better than Solomon is a better footballer than Tell. There you go. I've said it. Solomon is better than Tell. We deemed him not good enough and put him out on loan at Leeds. So what is it in Tell? Like, I need to know what's his outstanding football attributes.
Well, as I say, I mean, if you've watched him in the Bundesliga, then obviously there's some people that haven't. But in terms of his finishing is pretty decent, and it doesn't seem to have transcended to the Premier League. I completely understand. I think that physically,
I've got to challenge you again. Based on what? Based on what is his finishing decent? He hardly scores goals. Or based on what is his finishing decent?
When he played at Munich, he was a threat.
Yeah.
He was a
threat.
He
hardly scored goals.
No, again, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that he's the finished article. I'm just saying that from what I've seen, I feel like he can become a decent player. And also, you don't really have the names on your CV that he's got in terms of clubs. If you're that bad, you must have something about you. I just don't think he's delivered just yet. I think, as I say, I think in the Premier League, especially, he seems to be a little bit like Mikey Moore, where he's physically fighting for everything, and then he just looks like he looks like he's struggling physically, and I think he'll grow into that. But again, I wouldn't be signing him because I don't think he's a priority.
Yeah.
Basically,
I
you
agree
think
on
he's
that.
got potential.
Yeah, I think
you
he'll.
can see something there.
I think I'm not saying in the next year. I don't think he's going to go somewhere next year and take the league.
No,
by
but
storm,
you think he
like
could do something in his
that.
career?
2 or 3 years,
basically.
I think he'll be a good player.
When I've seen him,
and it'll be one of them where we look back and go, "Oh, we could have had him for 30 million, but we don't
Hmm.
need him right now. We need to worry about what we need right now."
I agree to an extent, but when I've seen him and Odebert play, I think I've actually, not that I've seen Odebert play good as such, but I think Odebert looks actually safer on the ball, significantly better with the ball than Tell does.
Yeah, I think he does, but I think also the year in the Premier League helped. He's obviously had an extra year, didn't he? Had last year with Burnley.
That's
so
a fair point. That's a fair point.
That's part of it.
No, that's a fair point.
Yeah, no, listen, look, at the end of the day, I agree with the second part, Luke. I just wouldn't be signing him. Listen, there's many players that you could turn around and say in 3-4 years' time, oh, God, we could have had him. But
yeah,
right now, we've got to stop being a club that buys for the future.
In a couple of years.
We've got to. You know, like when Mikey Moore came on today, I didn't think he did a lot. But again, I think he still did more than Tell. And that's worrying for me because Mikey Moore is a 17-year-old kid. Look, guys, I am going to leave it there. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I need to do some super chats and then we'll wrap up if that's all right with everybody. And then I will get you over to Stel. When you go over to Tottenham away, please just put in Savva raid. It's just a done thing. It's like an unwritten rule of YouTube. Big up to Alex Smith, who said, is there a record for a team who gets in the Champions League finishing in a position outside the top 4? As I think 17th could be a record. I'm pretty sure someone the other day, it might have been one of Unai Emery's Seville teams. I'm not sure. I might be making that up. That is a good question, Alex. I will have that information for you tomorrow morning show at 10 a.m. You know me. I'm going to find that information out, but it must be some sort of record. We're literally one place off the championship. That's what we are, one place above Leeds United, essentially. Big up to you, Alex. Thanks for that. Big up to George, who has gifted 1 Football Heritage TV membership. Always very generous on my channel, George. Thank you very much. And I really, really appreciate that. Whoever got the membership, I'm sure we'll be saying thank you. Big up to you. By the way, Napoli have just scored. For anyone that follows the Italian league, Napoli are 2-1 up. By the way, Scott McTominay looks like he's got a complete new lease of life. Big up to you, George. It wasn't McTominay who scored, but Jordan, thank you very much, Jordan. You've been very generous to me today. I said Thomas Frank, who supposedly plays boring football at Brentford, lost Tony last summer, and still they have scored the same amount of Premier League goals as us. Lots of our fans wouldn't want Frank. Jordan, you know what? This isn't even the first time Frank has lost his star striker and got better. He had Ollie Watkins and then got Tony after that, turned him into a top striker. He's lost Tony and then look at Vissa and Mbuemo. I think they've got 36 or 37 Premier League goals between them, 38 maybe. Big up to you, Jordan. That's very generous. Thank you very much. I would take Frank, just so you know. I would definitely take Frank. Big up to Rido Boy 94. Like that, Rido Boy. Sounds like a really shit movie. Big up to you. Has said, if Ange is the same guy I knew at Celtic, there's no chance Solanke was his first choice. He told us that. I can only go by. He came out and said, this is the guy we've been chasing for 2 months. I wanted him. I can only go by that, my man. So big up to you. By the way, these players he's got at Spurs are the best set of players he's ever had. So when we're talking about Ange and the caliber of players he's never had a squad like this, ever. Big up to you, Rido Boy. Appreciate that. Mark Taylor with a super chat says, thank you very much, Mark. This is very generous, by the way. Said, our standards are gone. We should be disgusted and outraged over this season's league results, not celebrating getting for a final and ignoring the league. Mark, for me, finish 6th or 7th, even 8th, get to the final. Great year. not 17th, 16th. You just
Agreed.
can't do it. Completely agree. Big up to you. And then the last super chat of the night. Big up to Destiny 5. My man, Destiny, said, Savva, I was at the game today. No one cares anymore. Look, I think the players don't seem to care. The manager doesn't care. Lots of the fans don't seem to care. But we're in a final and we've got to win it. And that's where I'm at with it. He's got to win it. I know a lot of people seem to think I don't. So just really quickly, look, I'm just going to let you into a secret. A lot of people keep saying to me, right, I'm going to let you know into something. And I am going to send everyone over to Stel. I keep hearing two things. Danny, you'll appreciate this. I keep hearing two things. One, Savva doesn't want to win the Europa League, but Savva's opinions are all for likes, money, and clickbait, right? What these people don't understand, Dan, if that was true, as a YouTuber, don't I need Spurs to be in the Champions League next year so that I've got more games to do watch-alongs for? These people don't use their brain. Luke, I'm going to finish with you.
I was just going to say about the super chat. You can do both. You can be disgusted at the league and be absolutely loving the cup. So you can do both. I feel like, especially on YouTube, you've got to either have a split opinion. If you hate Ange, you've got to hate every single thing about him. You can't appreciate anything and the other way. So I'm disgusted in the league. Of course I am. But if we win a cup, then I'm going to be celebrating that for a long, long time.
No, yeah. I agree. Listen, Dan, much love. Luke, much love. You both know you're always welcome on my show. Everyone in the chat, thank you very much. You've been very generous today. I really enjoyed the show. Look, I'll be back tomorrow. I've got a packed day for you. 10 a.m. is the morning show. At 6 p.m., I've got The Collective, and I'm bloody hoping Wolfie's going to be on this week's episode. The Collective with Wolfie. And then at 8:30, Perchie and I have got What Are We Doing Here, the podcast. What are we doing here? So big 3 shows for you tomorrow. Guys, take care. Much love. Please, Savva raid when you get over to Stel. Take care. Bye-bye. And as always, come on, you Spurs.